Faisalabad Agriculture University, and members of the faculty who are present here, honorable guests who've come from faraway places to attend this particular meeting and who've added immense amount of value to this particular workshop. Because as Dr. Saab was saying, we've had an excellent discussion since the morning, something which is useful and which is going to be of use to the future generations also. Ladies and gentlemen, I would not take much of your time. You've been through a long day as it is, but I'd just like to tell you that why this thing is so dear to us in Punjab, the government, the Chief Minister and everybody, why do they feel so strongly about this particular aspect? Actually, the story started when we started looking around the world, and we found that we as a country are growing at about 1.5% in agriculture. And we found that countries which were far more arid than us didn't have the type of endowments which we have in Punjab or in Pakistan. We have the most fertile alluvial plain in the world. It is the Indo-Gangetic plain, you know. Nature has worked on it for millions of years to create this billiard-top flatness which you see all around you. Backed by the largest contiguous irrigation system of the world. It has 4 distinct seasons, you know. Day-night temperature contrast which gives these mango that exotic taste, and that is why the world loves it, you know. With a very young population, you know, which is an extremely hard-working peasantry and farmer. Now, why is it that countries and states, and I'm not talking of the developed world like United States of America or Brazil or but countries having far lesser holding and with far lesser endowments than us by nature are growing at a far faster pace. And the examples are Gujarat, which is nearby. It's a state in India which is growing consistently from 2001 to 2011 at 8.1% in the agriculture growth rate. That is astronomical, actually. That means then there is Andhra Pradesh, which is growing around 6%, you know. China's growth rate overall in agriculture sector, it's done extremely well, and their growth in horticulture sector alone in the past 14 years is horizontally they've increased from 1.9 million hectares to 11.9 million hectares horizontally. And that is why today they are the largest producers of apple, largest producers of ginger, garlic, you name it, and they are the largest producers, you know. And it's brought so much of prosperity in the rural area. It has brought about so much of wealth in the rural area. It has created so many jobs in the rural area that we started looking inwards at what's gone wrong with us. Why is it? It's probably because we were static. We were trying to, whatever we had achieved during the Green Revolution, we were concentrating too much on the cereals, on the food security aspects. We did not pay sufficient attention to the value-added crops. Those are the crops which give you growth rates which I'm talking of. When I looked at the drivers of growth in Gujarat, I found they're concentrating on 5 crops, you know. BT cotton, castor oil, ispaghol, horticulture and livestock. These are the 5 things on which they're concentrating, combined with excellent ports, a very good road network, very good airports, and making things move in and move out very quickly. An excellent electricity system. They are deficient in electricity like us, but they provide the farmers with uninterrupted power for 8 hours, and they've created a separate grid line for that. Now, basically, that is why it is so important that we start looking at our export potential, because we are a country which is located very close to a food deficit Gulf states. We have a freight advantage there. We are located, the world population is increasing from 7 billion to 9 billion, which means that in 2050, there will be another India to feed. And majority of these people would not be living in the farmlands, incidentally. They will be living in these mega cities which are there, which will have a huge appetite for what the farmers of these countries grow. And when I look at my country, the way we've gone about it in technology and in productivity, we can actually quadruple our productivity. It's not the question of 10% increase, it's not the question of 20% increase, it's not a question of 30% increase. We're talking of 400% increase. And that is why you find stores like Metro, cash and carry, stores like Carrefour, stores like Hyperstar, and all these big chains are looking towards us because they're looking at, they'd like to place themselves 20 years from now, and they'd like to source from you. But what's the problem? The problem is that unless we grow things the way the market wants, unless we grow these things in which the taste is already developed, the way it has to be packed in that particular manner. It has to be traceable. It has to be safe. It has to meet all those hygiene conditions, Without that, we can't do anything. So the second thing when I started looking around was that how was China growing? And this was a presentation which I shared with Mubarak Scott Roosevelt. He's a Stanford professor on Skype. He gave us a presentation for an hour in Islamabad, and I saw that there were three things which actually create this sort of a growth. One is technology. Two is water productivity. Three is market connectivity. And frankly, we thought from that day onwards that these are the three things on which we are going to concentrate. Today, in Punjab, we are trying our level best to get the best possible technology for our farmers. Whether it's horticulture, whether it's vegetables, whether it's cereals, we want to get the best possible technology for them. The government would like to incentivize this particular activity at the farm gate level, at the supplier level, which is the collection point, located very close to the production base, and the value chain. And we created a 2 billion fund for that particular thing. It stands approved, and we'll be advertising within the next 2 to 3 days, in which we'll be incentivizing the entire value chain, but majority of the concentration is going to come at the farm end level, because that is where the farmer is the one who actually deserves this sort of a help. In addition to that, I was supposed to be in Islamabad tomorrow, but the CDWP meeting got postponed. We are investing another 22 billion rupees in water productivity. That means 22 billion rupees in high efficiency irrigation projects, 22 billion rupees for laser leveling equipment, 22 billion rupees for water courses which improve water productivity on the farm gate. So we're concentrating there. We're also trying to bring about reforms in our marketing system. That means deregulating the markets, There's a state monopoly which has clamped down everything. A mandi can only be made by the market committee. Nobody else can make that. So we've amended the law. Rule 67A allows private sector to set up a trading platform wherever they feel like. And I'm already processing 13 applications, and I've given permission to 5 of them already. And they're coming up with the most innovative designs possible. In addition to that, we are revamping the entire Market Committee Act. We are also creating hub markets. And for that, I was scheduled to visit China and Thailand, because we were looking at Talat Thai, which is a very modern market in Thailand, and which has spokes in the regional production units, which contribute to this particular hub market. And that is the market which supports the domestic as well as the international market. So we're investing in those things also, because we feel that we got to invest at the production point, which is the farm gate. At the collection point, we got to reduce losses, because the current level of losses, which some of the speakers here were saying, was as high as 60%. Now 40%, 35%, these are the type of losses which we are making at an average at our collection point, at our processing point. That's the point where this produce is coming, because there's hardly any backward integration from the market back to the farm. That needs to be created, and that is why the third thing is market connectivity. And to do this thing, rather than inventing the wheel, we thought of inviting a company Star Farms, rep of the Star Farm Shaukat is already here. He sat throughout this particular workshop. We going to mimic exactly what has happened in China. They've got 50 collection points there in China, and they've got an alliance with about 2,000 marketing companies, 2,000 companies, and they're working with about 2,000 farmers who send their products to those collection points from where they get connected to the market, and they are doing it in the most progressive manner in the world. It is fully traceable products. It is Global Gap certified at the farm gate. It is IFS certification at the collection point. It is transported through ISF logistic chain provider. It is exported by IFS exporters. So basically we're talking of farm to fork in standards which are universally understood. We don't want to invent our own standards, you know. We want to talk in a language which is understood. And Major Tariq and some of you had Global Gap with USAID firms very recently. The type of orders you have received was something which never used to come your way. And I like